Coming up to 2 years ago now, I created a video showing you the quickest way to get all 16 portal glyphs, and recently I've been seeing some comments on that video stating that that method no longer works. I mean, this isn't ideal obviously, so I've decided to check out if it was in fact the case, and sadly it was. So basically the method that I went over in that video in fact no longer works, and we can't be having that now, can we? Now the good news is folks, I can confirm there is a new method to do this and get all 16 glyphs in a matter of minutes yet again. In fact, there are two methods and one is slightly quicker than the other, but the slower one will probably be more reliable in the long run. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video so you know the details of both methods, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get stuck in. Now, if you're fairly new to No Man's Sky, or even if you've been a long-term player and you've yet to get all 16 of these glyphs, you may be wondering why you want all 16 of them in the first place, and that is a fair concern. But having all 16 of these glyphs and also having access to a portal grants you even more freedom exploring within the game than it already does. So for example, you can use these glyphs to find incredibly rare ships, incredibly rare freighters, frigates, as well as using them to get you to the centre of the galaxy incredibly quickly. And my personal favourite part, seeing some utterly amazing bases created by other players. So as you can see, having all of these glyphs should be high on your list of goals when it comes to No Man's Sky, whether you're a beginner or whether you're a veteran who's yet to get all of them. Now whilst we're at it, once you've followed this video and got all 16 glyphs, you should definitely check out my Amazing Bases playlist because I can promise you, you will not be disappointed. Now, the first thing you'll need before we start either of the two methods is to in fact have the first two glyphs. So let's go over how to do that. Now there are a number of ways you can go about this, and one method is one I would definitely not recommend doing, mainly because it'll take you fucking ages, and probably some more hours on top of that to be fair. And that is just exploring planets using your analysis visor looking for traveller graves. Now finding these is so very rare, it's not even worth the time and effort to do it because they only appear on your analysis visor if you're within 50 U of them. And that's why I wouldn't recommend that. The second method would be to complete the Artemis Path mission. Now doing this would actually get you all 16 glyphs eventually, but again it would take you much longer than doing it following these other two methods I'm going over in this video. So I'd not recommend doing that either. So the fastest way to get the first two portal glyphs does in fact involve bunny hopping between space stations looking for travellers on board them. Now, travellers are technically the fourth alien race in No Man's Sky, but they don't appear on all space stations, like the Gek, the Vy'keen or the Korvax do. Hence the need for you to go bunny hopping between space stations in neighbouring star systems. You can actually find them at trading outposts and camps randomly, but the space stations are a far more reliable way to find them. And it's quicker to visit space stations in a short amount of time as well compared to trading outposts and other camps. The good news is you'll be able to tell a traveller apart from the other alien species on the space stations because they appear to be holographic. But when you do find one, or perhaps two if you're very lucky, you'll want to interact with them and have a good conversation and then ask them where they come from. Now that is going to cost you 100 nanites, so you will want to have at least 200 nanites to get the first two glyphs. Obviously. Now, once you do ask these travellers where they come from, they are going to grant you the location to their traveller grave on a nearby planet within the system. And getting those coordinates directly is significantly quicker than you going out to look for them by just exploring a planet. Even though planets tend to have quite a few graves on them, it's very rare to come across them without going to a traveller first. So as you can see, it's quite simple. Find first two travellers by bunny hopping through space stations, find their graves and get the glyphs. And then once you have done that, hopefully it doesn't take you many bunny hops around space stations, you'll have the first two glyphs. And then the next step is to find a portal so you can actually use the damn first two glyphs. Now I have done a video going into great detail around portals, including the quickest way of finding them. And I'll link that video in the description of this video, but I will give you the very quick version of finding portals here, so make sure you're paying close attention. The first step is buying some planetary charts from the cartographer on board a space station. And these need to be the ancient artifact planetary charts because they can lead you, well, to a couple different on-planet points of interest. So I recommend you buying a few of these actually, in case it gives you a location that we don't want, like an ancient ruin. But anyway, I'm blabbering on. What we do want is an alien monolith. So plot routes using those planetary charts until you get the location of an alien monolith. And once you do have that location, head on down to the monolith, but before you interact with it, I would recommend creating a quick save point, because there is a scenario here where you don't get a portal location from it. So you need to interact with the monolith and then select the correct option for it to then, well, actually you'll stop talking to it and then you can talk to it again, and then it is going to give you the location of a portal, but you don't get a retry, which is why you get the save point so you can reload and select a different option. Anyhow, if you do select the correct option, as you see, you'll then get the option to locate a portal, but it's going to cost you either a Gek relic, a Korvax casing, or a Vikine dagger, depending on the dominant alien species in that system. So if you have one but not all of these, I would recommend going to a system like, let's say you got a Gek relic, go to a Gek dominant system, and so on. But once you do hand that over, you'll be finally granted a location to a portal. See, it's not that complicated really, is it? And that is a very quick overview of exactly how to do it. Now, I do go into much more detail in my video dedicated to portals, along with a bunch of other stuff, if you want to check that out regardless. But once you have found that portal, I would highly recommend you place a base computer down there so you can warp to it whenever you want in the future. And also, this method works in every galaxy, so if you decide to go galaxy hopping, finding a portal this way is super quick. Right, now that we have absolutely everything we need to actually do these two methods, so the first two glyphs and having access to a portal, we're just going to move on to method 1. And method 1 is probably the quickest way of getting the remaining glyphs, but it may not be the most reliable in the long run, so just bear that in mind. But the premise is simple. I am going to give you portal coordinates to a planet within a system in the Euclid galaxy that only uses the first two portal glyphs, hence why you needed those two in the first place. So here are those coordinates on your screen now. And as I said, I am playing this in normal mode, and the galaxy is the first one, which is Euclid. So stick those coordinates in the portal once you've recharged all of the glyphs, and then dive on in. And once you have warped to that new system, you want to head on up to the space station and then visit the teleporter in there, and then take a look at the list of bases. Now, I visit quite a lot of bases, so I had to scroll a little bit, but there should be a number of bases that are names like Glyph System with a number in the name. So just warp to the first one of those, and there should be a Traveler Grave right in there, and then you can grab yourself the third glyph. Now, the next step is really quick. Just use the teleporters located at each of the bases to go to all of the other bases within that system which have a Traveler Grave. And then you'll have the remaining glyphs in like literally a matter of minutes, and this is by far the quickest of the two methods. However, I did say it's going to be a little less reliable in the long term, because it's the same premise as my previous video that I created 2 years ago. And we know that no longer works, sadly. And this is down to the planets being completely overloaded with bases and the glyphs becoming basically, well, hidden effectively. So this is why I've included this second method, just in case the first one doesn't work. But before I go on to that, I would like to give Reddit user uforeverappropriate80, who set up these bases in a 2-glyph system and then shared them with the No Man's Sky community. So just a quick recap, in this system, the bases you need to get all of these glyphs are named Glyph System followed by a number, and they were all created by either Agrajag Forever, Agrajag for Death, or Agrajag for Life. And I hope I pronounced that correct. So make sure you visit those bases. And also guys, if this method does work still, please do not add any bases anywhere near them, because we want as many people to use this method as is possible. Right, on to method 2, and as I said, this one will take you a little bit longer, but still quicker than any other way, apart from the one I've just mentioned, but it is definitely going to be more reliable than the previous method, because it doesn't involve bases, and it just involves repeating the same steps we had earlier in the video when you're talking to travelers and finding the graves that way. So of course, if you do this one, you're going to need a few extra nanites. But basically for this method, Reddit user Spiper01 has given us the portal coordinates to systems where we can find travelers on the space stations, and those coordinates only use the first 2 glyphs. So if you've gotten this far in the video, you should have those already. Now stick all of these coordinates up on the screen for a while right now, so you guys can keep referring back to this point in the video as you go and visit all the travellers to find their graves. It's obviously going to take you a little bit longer than the first method. I mean, still quick overall, but I would wager this method is going to be far more reliable in the long term. So if you're coming to this video a good while after I've posted it, let me know if both of these methods still work. Or if one does work and one doesn't, or if neither actually work, because I'll create another video in that case. But again, another quick shout out to both Reddit users Forever Appropriate 80 and Spiper01 for finding these locations and making it so much quicker for us guys to get all 16 of the portal glyphs. Now hopefully you grab all 16 glyphs with either of these methods, and it won't take you long at all, and once you have gotten yourself all of them, and once you have got yourself a base at a portal for quick access to it, you should definitely now go and check out my amazing bases playlist to see bases created by other No Man's Sky players. Now these bases they create are utterly amazing and they're going to blow your mind, and you can see everything from things like roller coasters to a giant R2-D2 to a pyramid maze, pirate ships, low orbital space stations, and literally everything in between. I will leave a link to that playlist in the description of this video so you can go check that out. And there you have it folks. There are two very up-to-date methods as of the middle of December for finding all 16 portal glyphs in not much time at all. Now I hope you found this video useful and I hope you managed to get all 16 glyphs. And if you are still here, it would be totally awesome if you could support my channel by hitting those like and subscribe buttons. You can also become a channel member as well, and as always, thank you for watching this video and I hope to catch you in my next one.